Hello, lovely Annalisa Ponti, into the Serpent's Path conversations, the conversation about transformations, transmutations, epiphany moments, and self-discovery. So delighted to have you here. Welcome.
My God, Gosha, I'm so excited and such a big pleasure. Thank you for the invitation to join you on this conversation.
So Annalisa offers rapid transformational therapy, hypnotherapy, transformational coaching, and the powerful and self-development tools that you kind of acquired through your experience, expertise, and I guess life in general. So
Life.
everything comes in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're passionate about spiritual development as well. And then we had lots of chats. We also went to see our favorite, highly renowned and recognized Carolyn Mice, one of our spiritual favorite teachers, and many others that we did not manage probably to chat about, but we connect through somehow. And what else? We also part of the same community or network of beautiful empowered women called Hub Dot, and you are a partner of the Hub Dot. I don't know what else you would like to add to this introduction.
Oh, just little things that probably characterize me most. I'm a quite curious and inquisitive human being. And this is the reason why everything that you described happened, basically, because my curiosity has always led me to explore a lot. And since I was really very, very young, I got so interested in topics that were quite serious for a teenager, such as really the why, the big whys, who we are, why we're here, what's the meaning of dying, and all these kind of things. And so basically, my exploration started really, really, very, very soon, as a young girl. And I'm so excited and pleased about everything that this curiosity has gifted me in terms of experiences.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you for adding this to the, because, we all have these labels and, experiences and education, but actually who we really truly are is it's what we treasure as a unique of ourselves, this very specific attributes and personality attributes that we carry around, and they kind of specifies us and differentiate us from each other, but also creates this unique personality that shines. Lovely, thank you. Okay, can you tell me or tell us, to whoever's going to be listening to that, how did you make this transition from the very busy FX foreign exchange sales world, being the director in one of the major companies, into this self-development, self-discovery, and transformational world? How did that happen? What was the trigger there?
Beautiful, beautiful question, Gosha. I never planned it at all, and I didn't expect even to happen. But what again I followed was an inner feeling, calling, intuition, guidance, basically. I had loved my previous career in the corporate business fully, I have to say. It was exciting, it was motivating me. I did a job that was really fulfilling in so many ways. I was working, as you said, as a director in the foreign exchange market. And that type of job was clicking so many things for me. I had the possibility to work with clients, so people that are really one of my main interests in life, traveling a lot, studying because it was a job that was requiring a lot of, let's say, constant updates regarding product and markets and whatever. So in any way, I was not satisfied or unfulfilled in any way from that job. But what I started to realize after a while, it was after 20 years really, because this was how long it lasted. It was that there was something missing, even if I was so excited and so driven and so whatever, there was something missed in that kind of career. And that was the reason why, even when I was in that career, I kept studying and exploring so many other things. And after the big financial crisis in 2007, 2008, I I discovered in a different way what was missed in that. I couldn't identify myself with the mentality or the structure or the mindset of that industry completely. And so I started to realize that there was a mismatch in between who I am and what I was doing. And I realized that I needed to stop and reflect on that. And this is exactly what I did. So I took myself out for a while. And in that while, in that space, in that very exciting period of my life, because I was finally taking time for myself, I put a lot of questions on the table, and I realized that I was ready really for something different, not knowing yet what that was. But because my interest for spirituality on one side, for the beauty of the human potential on the other side, I started to explore again the idea to dig into psychology or this kind of therapy stuff. And I discovered coaching that was something that I didn't know that much about, but apparently it was something very exciting for an inquisitive mind like myself that is also quite able to problem solving. It's something that I do quite easily. And so combining so many things, I felt like, oh my God, coaching is so interesting. I can work with people. I can work on the mind. I can develop my own career into the direction of self-empowerment and spirituality and all this kind of thing, transformational coaching. And so this is what happened basically. So it came as an answer to a calling of more meaning and more depth in my life, really.
Such a lovely answer. Thank you so much. Many of us we get attracted by those things, or they're just lingering somewhere in the background, but we need something to kind of to make that leap to push us that way, or maybe something needs to happen in our lives, which is much more of my example, that you need to cry, you need a little bit of crash to open your eyes fully and say basta. So now I need to change something in my life. So thank you, Annalisa. That was beautiful. Can you tell me a little bit more about the therapies, the specific type of therapies? What is it? I don't think everyone knows what is a RTT, the rapid transformational therapy. Can you explain a little bit more what it is and who's that for? What
Yeah,
sort of clients or what kind of people you will, attract, or who is looking for your support in that sense with this type of therapy?
absolutely, absolutely. And to introduce it, I just want to give you the idea of the why brought me to therapy, so this kind of therapy, okay?
Yeah.
So I started with the coaching. So I train as a coach in personal development. I started to work with clients, and soon I started to realize that there are a lot of people that are really motivated to change, to transform their life, to overcome limiting belief or sabotage or any type of issue that they can have. But even if they have a very high level of willpower, they get stuck, and there is something that, in a way, plays against, and they are not able at a conscious level to overcome this kind
Yeah.
of obstacles. And because I was, and I always been, and I am so motivated to help people, to support people in moving forward, so in changing and transforming their life, I was really looking for a different tool, something deeper, stronger, more powerful to achieve this result. And I came across RTT because of that, basically. When I saw Marisa Peer describing what RTT can do, I felt like, oh, this is it. This is exactly what I want, what I need for helping my client. Okay. And so I went into exploring the methodology, the therapy, and I discovered that the power of this therapy, that is also quite quick, is the combination of different modalities. It's basically based on hypnotic regression,
Mm-hmm.
coaching in terms of NLP and CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. Basically, it's a mix of modalities.
Yes.
And the power is that you basically work with the human mind at a very deeper level, because you engage the subconscious mind, where our memories, our traumas, our limiting beliefs are basically memorized and recorded. But also you engage the CBT and the NLP to transform this belief and these emotional baggages, basically. So
Can
it's a
you just say that CBT is a cognitive behavior
yeah,
therapy
yeah.
and NLP is?
NLP is neuro linguistic programming, basically. So RTT in itself, it's in the way it works, start with bringing you through the hypnotic regression to the root cause of the presenting problem, the issue that the client has, that can be different, okay? It can be a psychological or an emotional or a physical issue. And with the regression, you get to the memories, to the story behind the issue, and you are able to really understand what is causing the problem. Because our mind is really a very magical tool that we have. And our subconscious mind always tries to help us, supporting us when we get into emotional situation and we go through traumas, developing coping mechanism. So when you are able to get to initial memory, to the initial event that has triggered the reaction, you are able to truly understand what is causing what you are now experiencing as a symptoms. That can be anxiety, can be depression, can be lack of confidence, can be a physical manifestation such as psoriasis, eczema, something even deeper such as disease, even serious disease such as cancer, okay? They can have an emotional root, or can even be something really emotional that has caused a coping mechanism that gets you into addiction, in weight problems, or dependency from substances or these kind of things. So through the hypnotic regression, you get there, you understand the truth regarding the problem, but this is not enough for the therapy. The therapy brings up through the investigation the causes, but then help you through the emotional therapy and the CBT to assess the emotional state and to transform it. And then the final
That's the
part of
transformational component of the therapy.
yeah, the transformational
Digging
company.
out, it's also transforming it, why it's out there, so we can actually do something about it, so we don't have to come back to it. That's why it's called also
Absolutely.
rapid, because it's a kind of like the whole package in one.
Absolutely. The investigation brings up the problem, the true root of the problem. When you see it and you get awareness regarding that, you are in a very beautiful, powerful place where you can understand and transform your relationship with it. Because what the emotion that you had attached to the problem and the meaning that you have attached to the problem when it arises are different from the perspective and the meaning that you can attach now to the same situation. Because now
Yes.
you are a grown up woman or
Person.
man
Yeah.
that has a completely different perspective or wider perspective regarding life compared to when the problem rose. Okay.
Yeah,
So this
absolutely.
is the beauty. The moment that you are there and you understand that something that now is so difficult for you, such as speaking in public, for example, as a root in an event that happened when you were 7 years old and you had a very bad experience in front of your class, or the peers, the pupils in your class, and you felt ashamed and you felt that you wanted to disappear and all these kind of things. But you were 7 years old and you attach a lot of emotion and meaning to that situation. And this is really the true causes that now makes so difficult for you to speak in public. But you are not a 7 years old anymore. So now you can have absolutely, you can reframe what happened in a completely different way and giving it a different meaning and let go the emotional attachment
Yeah.
that you have with the event.
And that goes the same with addictions, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Addiction to cigarettes or whatever substances, it's very
Yeah,
similar, because we develop this it serves its function. It's this coping mechanism is for a reason there, but the root cause of that mechanism that we created is, one is to keep ourselves safe, but the other thing is got the function that it doesn't serve us anymore.
absolutely. So basically, what happens in our psyche is that we grow up beyond what was the solution that our subconscious has
That's right.
created for us. But because we don't know that, we keep playing the same solution that now has become a problem. So the therapy is magic because it brings you really to the point where everything happens so that you can understand it, but also now, because you are empowered, you are different, you can decide what to do with this kind of information. So obviously you come to the therapy because you want to solve the problem. So the moment that you have this kind of awareness, you are in a state, in a very deep state of relaxation and trance, where you can really release the attachment with that interpretation. And so you free yourself from the attachment to that solution that now is not a solution anymore. And then the session progresses in letting go the emotional attachment with that and reframing the meaning that you have attached to that, so that now you can imagine yourself being free from the problem and empower in your new understanding to create a new, let's say, solution for yourself. So now you are not anymore the 7 years old with the shame and the desire to disappear and to hide yourself, because that is gone. The memory is still there, but there is no emotional attachment to it anymore. So now you can choose to be confident, to be self-assured, to put in place all the resources, the capability, and the skill that you have already learned and you know that you have, and create a new version of yourself that is free from the problem of fearing the.
Do you have any insights of what is happening in human brain from the neuroscience perspective or from the science perspective? Because I guess it must be something to do with also rewiring your neural paths in your brain during that process, because obviously we know that our nervous system adapts to the specific, whatever is stored in our body, and our nervous system is going to adapt to it, and we've got that pattern of how we react and how we act, etc. So everything is driven by how things are stored in our neurological pathways, but also in our body. And this is all beautiful, visceral system that is, holding all this knowledge. So do you know any understanding what is happening in our brain during that time? Because the session is usually quite, well, it depends, right, on the client and the issue that you're working on. I guess that the session could be, I don't know, from 2 hours even to up to 6 hours. You tell me maybe what
No,
was your shortest and longest session, but
yeah.
it's quite intense work for I guess for both, for the
Yeah.
therapies as yourself and for the client as well.
Yeah, it is. It is, and not 6 hours, but let's say in between 2 and 3 hours. Usually, it's the standard. It can even go longer, but 2 to 3 hours is the standard of the session. Okay. Yes, absolutely. What you were saying, Gosha. The methodology works well because it's based on the neuroscience of the brain, okay, the neuroplasticity. So basically, what it helps you to do, the awareness that you get when you understand what it is really the cause of your presenting problem, whatever it is, it helps you to interrupt a pattern, an emotional pattern that is basically reproducing constantly a neural pathway in your brain. So you are following basically an old programming without knowing it. The
Yeah.
moment that you become aware of it, you interrupt this pattern. And with the neuroprogramming, the NLP at the end of the session, basically, that is the transform, we call it the transformation, but it's basically the installation of a new
New
image, of
software.
new vision, or new software in
Yeah.
your psyche. You are basically substituting the old programming with an updated program that talks about the opposite, basically, that talks about the solution, that talks about the new version of yourself without the old program. It's leveraging basically the neuroplasticity of the human brain. So you are interrupting a programming and you are installing a new one. You are interrupting let's say, more than
Thing is,
overriding, it is literally a shift in between a neural pathway that were bringing you in some direction that are not the desired one, and you are jumping into a new pathway that now you are able to create and to reinforce through a recording that I give you after the session, that you keep listening for reinforcing the messages, the command to your subconscious. Okay, so it's basically, yes, it's you create the new possibility for yourself, that is the new one, and then you start to move into this direction, reinforcing the pathway in your brain, basically.
yeah.
So you are creating a new neural pathway that the more you follow it, the bigger it
Yes.
becomes. And
So it
now,
still kind of involves some work after the session, that you're kind of reinforcing the same message. So you're kind of like continuing the reshaping or connecting or creating the new connections to reinforce that new sort of new you.
absolutely, because another things that we know now is that our brain learn by repetition.
Yeah, it's a
Is
muscle.
this is like a muscle, basically. The more you train it in a certain way, the more you create an habit of thinking. So you really need to reinforce and reinforce and reinforce the same command to make it becoming habitual, to make it becoming familiar to your brain. And then it goes without you saying it anymore, because it's a new neural pathway that you can follow without even thinking, okay? This is the way we learn everything, basically, by repetition of concept or by repetition of action. Okay, we have learned to talk like that. We have learned to walk like that. We have learned everything that we have learned. We have learned because we have repeated and repeated the same pattern
Yeah.
for a while, and then becomes an habit. And our subconscious run it without us even thinking consciously about it. So, but the process is really very quick, because yes, the session lasts quite long, but after the session, you have the recording, 3 weeks at least. But then you are already moving into this direction, and things that you have brought on your shoulder for decades, that can disappear in 1 month, really.
I've got a question about that. That's going to be my next question. It's how many things we are. Thank you for that. That's super informative. Although I knew quite a lot about it, but it's still very nice to hear that again and actually get into the more intricate parts of like how the therapeutic session actually works. So thank you for that. For whoever is thinking of embarking on the RTT journey, that they're going to have a little bit more understanding maybe and knowledge about that. What I wanted to ask about past regression, because you mentioned past regression and also carrying this pain and burden that we're carrying. And my question is that, is it possible that we are carrying the responsibility, the pain, the burden, the struggles, not just our own, but also we taking them from our ancestors or potentially from our past lives, that if you believe in that, if anyone believes in that. Did you have any examples or experience with your client where you see that people traveling back through the different realms and generations and potentially different past lives where they you could clearly see that they are in a very different world to we live in at the moment.
Absolutely, yes. I'm not, let's say, proposing past regression therapy in itself, but I know that this therapy can absolutely work wonder in that.
Yeah.
But it happened to myself during the past 7 years since I started to apply this methodology, basically, that some clients they went straight back to a past life because the true cause of their problem in this life was related to something that happened in another life. So to, let's say, to really understand the root cause, their subconscious brought them back to something different, okay, that was not related to this existing. And usually this happens when there is a physical issue, when there is something physical that you are bringing forward.
Yeah.
And there is a past life where you have developed that problem, or you have experienced something that has created that problem. And in this incarnation, your soul is still in a way attached to that happening because it has not been closed, has not been resolved completely, and so you are manifesting the same type of physical issue that is related to the story, so that you can work on it and complete the cycle. Basically, this is what happened a couple of times. Another interesting case was that the client regressed to the womb, so
Yeah.
to memories that she couldn't really recall with a conscious mind. And she went back to the womb of her mother because the true root of her problem, emotionally speaking, resided there.
Hmm.
Her mother had a very, very difficult pregnancy. She didn't want to be pregnant. She didn't want to give birth. So there was a lot of refusal, rejection, and
Yeah.
whatever
Yes.
that happened
Yeah.
inside the womb. And emotionally speaking, that client basically manifested this kind of issue in her life. She felt lonely. She felt not appreciated and rejected. So, and the answer was in the womb. Basically, you basically when you command the subconscious to go back to the true root, to the true causes of the issue, of the problem, of the presenting problem, it can really bring you where you need to see. So it can be in this life, it can be in the womb, it can be in a previous life, it can be wherever, really. Obviously, if you are open to understand this kind of information. If you don't
Yes.
believe in past life, your subconscious won't bring you to past life because it's not something that you can understand, basically. But yeah, but we are, in a way, we are guided to go where we need to see. I
That's
truly
right.
believe that. I truly,
Yes.
truly believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the same. Thank you for that. That's very informative and actually just reassuring that we've got this capacity that we sort of suppressed so much that we need the help and support of many to actually go and heal ourselves. But actually, all the answers and all the tools, everything is within us. So that's interesting. And can you tell me, why do we need someone else to help us with to go through this journey? Because there is many therapies also in compassionate inquiry. Sometimes we also dig deeper and people go to the places that they either totally forgot about, or they actually don't know where they are, but it brings this emotional charge to the surface, and it feels like we do need to have that space for this emotions, for this physical also sensations to come in and come out and be held. Why do we need someone else to deal with that?
Truly believe, and this is my opinion, obviously, I'm not pretending that everyone agrees with me, but I truly believe that we still need some support because we are not totally aware of who we are. Because the moment that you truly understand who you are as a human being, the story that you have, and the nature of your essence that is not human, but it is in a way supernatural, divine, call it whatever it is, the part of your awareness that is the soul, the consciousness, is something different than your human brain or your human emotion. Okay, so the moment that you start to understand these kind of things, you start also to realize that you have the power to heal yourself. Because in reality, we are all wounded in some way, or traumatized, or we have problems only because we ignore which is our true nature. And so we have, through our experiences and the meaning that we attach to the experiences, we have created a lot of resistance that has
Yes.
created the disease, the issue, the imbalances, okay? But the moment that you start to understand who you truly are and the power that resides inside yourself because your nature, your true essence, you can absolutely heal yourself without the help of someone else. But at this stage of humanity, I believe that the therapists, the counselor, the coaches, whatever, they are basically just, they are necessary in some way because there are still so many personal people that they don't understand who they are completely. But
Yeah.
the moment that our awareness opens up and we really truly get in connection with our soul, there is no need anymore for therapy. There is no need anymore for counseling, for coaching, for RTT, or for anything else. You are absolutely capable to understand and interpret, and in the same way that you unconsciously created the problem, you are now consciously able to
To
uncreate the
solve it.
problem,
Yeah.
to solve
Undo
it.
it. Yeah. Makes sense. What I would add to it, that's also what we need is this to deal with this, deeply rooted issues or problems, that we need someone to hold space for us so we feel safe enough to actually go to these places. And that doesn't matter what type of therapy. I think the rule is the same, that you have to feel safe to be able to actually go to these painful places and to stay there for long enough to transform or transmute or to shift, to change, to work through that pain and create from that, through that pain, etc., etc. So the other thing is, I feel like many people, many therapists are just mirroring us. This is what
Yeah,
I'm doing during my compassionate inquiry sessions, that I'm just mirroring the client. I'm not doing so much of the work because the work is put it on clients. We are doing it ourselves when we are on the
absolutely.
in the
Yeah,
therapy, right? So we just
but when
discovering
when
ourselves. Yeah.
But when you understand that in reality, everything in life is a mirror for understanding ourselves and evolving and
Yeah.
growing,
Yeah.
okay, yes, you are absolutely right to say, as therapists, we are mirroring to clients what they need to see. But the moment that your awareness widens and you truly understand what's really the meaning and the structure of this physical life, you truly understand that your partner is a mirror, that your son is a mirror, that your mother is a mirror, that everyone and every situation has the potential to be a mirror of something that you need to see and understand about yourself.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
it's it's, I believe that the expansion, the evolution of our awareness will help us to become so more capable, really, to overcome difficulties and situation and whatever, because the moment that we understand how the system works, we have, every one of us has everything that needs to heal and to evolve.
That's right.
There is
Yes.
nothing,
We
there is
don't need
nothing
anyone.
missed. There is
Yeah.
nothing missed in our
Yeah.
life. We have just to learn to interpret the signals, to interpret the
Yes.
messages, to
Yeah.
interpret what
Yeah.
happens in a different way. We are so unable to see the depth of things. We just stay at the superficial level of what happens, and what happens triggers our reaction, triggers our
Yeah.
emotion. So we just react. So we are, as human being, we have developed the capacity to survive very, very well, but we didn't have yet developed the capacity to evolve in the same way. And the moment that you
We are
understand
still
that,
very sadly to this egoistic, ego-centered people, that we are still little animals whose nervous system actually didn't develop that well to handle everything the way that we would like to be
yeah,
handled. Otherwise, we wouldn't
but
have trauma, right? We are one
yeah,
of the species that we think we are we think of ourselves in a superior way, but actually comparing to the rest of the species on the planet Earth, we are the weakest one. We are the weakest
Absolutely.
one.
Yeah, but I believe this is an evolutionary pathway, okay? So compared to the animals, we have developed the neocortex, okay? That
That's
is the
right.
logical part of our brain that help us really to have a cognitive capacity to
Oh,
reason,
yeah.
to put things in context. So we have something more compared to the animals. With all this, with those this capacity, we got lost into translation,
That's
basically,
that's right.
because the animals, they are absolutely capable to feel emotion, but they are also capable to let the emotion go, so the emotion
Straight
disappear in
away,
a
they don't
second,
attach to it. Yeah.
straight away.
Yeah.
Instead, we, with the neocortex, with our cortex, we are examining, ruminating on our emotion and traumas, and we got,
Creating
and
the
yeah, and
stories.
we
Yes.
get caught
Exactly.
into this
Mm-hmm.
loop. And this is not what our neocortex is supposed to do. Or
Yeah.
let's say, this is not the only things that our neocortex is supposed to do. Our
Mm-hmm.
neocortex is a very powerful tool
Mm-hmm.
for going beyond, to connect with the
Yes.
supernatural,
Yes.
to the
Yeah.
other dimension of perception that we have, okay? But we are just using it in a very, very limited way, and we got caught in this kind of emotional
Mm-hmm.
loop. The moment that we understand that we can get out of this loop and start to use our power in a different way, oh my gosh, really, our plus our the addiction the additional tools that we have as human being can really work for
Mm.
making us the evolved species that we claim to be, because at the
Absolutely.
moment we are just evolved physically but not
Yeah.
evolved spiritually, basically.
Well, we're getting that things are shifting, as we
Yeah.
both know, that we could feel and see that we are much more conscious about ourselves, that we're starting to explore a little bit more. So that's a good sign that we're going the right direction. But it's just I'm going to use the word that you mentioned at the very beginning when you were describing yourself, that we need to become more curious, and not curious about why this is happening to me, but why am I reacting and responding, or not reacting really, to this situation, to this person in this particular way? And the answers are within me, not in that person, not in that situation. So the curiosity is one of the most beautiful words that you use
Yeah.
today. And it's just to be curious about, like, genuinely curious, not curious with judgment, but
Yeah.
curious with this, like, why am I acting this way? Why this thing irritates me so much? What is it within me that is being pulled and triggered, that I'm getting so overwhelmed or annoyed or angry or sad or upset, right? So this curiosity about ourselves.
Yeah, but also we can even go beyond that, okay? That is basically asking ourselves, what else I can do here instead of reacting? Because this already changes the game, okay? So the moment that you are not behaving in the usual way you have always behaved, in a reactive emotional way, and you just stop and you ask yourself, what else can I do here?
Yeah.
You are already breaking a
Or how
pattern.
differently I could possibly,
Yeah. You are
respond.
already breaking
Yeah,
a pattern and creating a new possibility of
absolutely.
interaction and communication with the other human being
Yeah,
that creates a completely different outcome.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
this
yeah,
is this is the power that we have. The moment that we keep responding in the same way, we keep creating the same events and outcome. But the
yeah,
moment we stop to act or react in the same way, we create new possibility.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, can you tell me, since we're on that subject, why there is so much suffering in the world?
This is a quite deep question,
Yes, I
Gosha,
know.
but I truly believe that suffering is not inevitable. Pain it is, okay. The experience of pain is an experience that, as human being, we can go through, and probably every one of us has gone through some sort of different level of pain, okay. But suffering, it's more psychological, okay.
Yeah,
Suffering is something that happens because we keep feeling in a certain way. So we keep feeling victimized by situation. We keep feeling something because we have a certain belief regarding things. So the moment that you are able to change your belief, and as a consequence your feeling, suffering goes. It doesn't become inevitable, even if pain is real. Okay, so you can go through some pain, but attaching a different meaning to that experience, it changes the
Yeah.
level of suffering that you are
That's,
experiencing.
let's pause on this because that's very important. Story and the meaning we create about particular person or situation that makes us suffer, not the pain itself. So pain doesn't equal suffering. Pain plus resistance equals suffering because we resisting in kind of doing something about that pain and we are attaching a story and situation to it.
Yeah,
But that's
and
not the true
instead,
cause of suffering. The suffering is actually
absolutely.
us who does something to that pain. So we either holding on to it or we building around the story around that pain.
Fantastic. So you said pain plus resistance equals suffering. Pain plus compassion equals evolution.
That's
So we
it.
know, yeah. So it's
So the
we are stuck.
solution is there's just one solution, right? There's only one solution. What is the solution for the suffering?
The solution is changing the interpretation of things, starting to understand the value of experiences and stopping judging them.
That's right. And I
If
will
you
add
if
to it to be kind to yourself. Start
Yeah,
from actually appreciating yourself who you are, accepting yourself the way you are, and
yeah,
being compassionate to yourself. Because the only thing that can change anything and transform anything in this world is love.
absolutely.
And compassion is love, is just one of the forms, one of the highest forms of love is compassion, to be compassionate to yourself in the first place, because compassion doesn't exist or it's not fully expressed if it doesn't include yourself.
Absolutely. No, it starts from you. If you're not
Yeah.
able to be compassionate with yourself, is pretty impossible to be compassionate regarding someone else. So it starts within. Everything starts within. Everything that you are capable to give yourself and experience becomes natural in your way to relate with the world and other people. But the moment that there is an inner resistance and you cannot upset a part of yourself, you are still resisting or contrasting something about you that you don't like, you don't want, you don't accept. This kind of inner division, inner separation that you experience create a state of imbalance that you project out as well. So you cannot project love if you don't love yourself.
That's
True
right.
love.
True love. Yeah. Yeah.
So true love comes from really understanding who you are and accepting the fact that you are a very imperfect and beautiful human being with a very perfect and amazing soul. This is,
Yes.
or at least, let's say the opposite, because the opposite is true. You are a beautiful and amazing soul that has this personality that is imperfect and beautiful as a human being. And you are living
Squeezing
the
into this human experience that we have to kind of accept it.
squeezing, squeezing into this imperfect and amazing, unique experience as a human being.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Thank you, Annalisa. That's so great. Right, shifting a little bit, can you tell me what makes you get out of bed, except obviously doing a beautiful work with the clients? I know you've got a kitten. I don't know where
Yeah,
she is at the moment. So it's your little baby is hanging out
yeah.
around somewhere there. And what else? What else gives you this joy of life? What is your go?
My go-to is really life in itself. I have to say that I'm really in love with my life. I'm truly like that. And it has always been like that since I was a child. I was mesmerized and full of awe and gratitude for life in itself, for being alive. And this feeling is so embedded in me that is, I don't really need anything else really for jumping out of bed, but the feeling that I'm alive again. I'm waking
Yes,
up. I'm still on this planet. I have another day. This is more than
yes,
enough for making me excited about my life, really.
it's beautiful.
So
Thank you.
it's yeah, I'm blessed because yeah, I have a beautiful family. I have a beautiful relationship. Everything is beautiful, but I believe that because my eyes are always pointing to beauty. I mean, I can only see beauty because beauty is something that is so natural for me to connect with, to tune with.
You just vibrate on that level. You just
Yeah.
stuck on this high vibration, and there's no one can take you out of your
No,
experience.
because I find beauty in everything. As you say, you said before, I found beauty in my relationship with this kitten, with this cat. I mean, it's just a cat, but for me, it's the world really. I find beauty in being able every morning to wake up in this city that for someone is so difficult. For me, is a great opportunity to live and experience. And to do my work, and so I find beauty in every little detail of my life. And so, because of this natural attitude that I have, I feel so every day. I feel so filled up with love and joy. Really, even if I have to admit, my life has not just been a beautiful place without problem. Okay, but even so, I never lost the capacity to see the beauty and the joy everywhere.
Thank you. I don't want to ask any more questions because you just wrap it up so beautifully that it's just, there is nowhere to kind of like pull the other strings, although there is many. We could talk about spirituality, but maybe I'm going to leave that for the next conversation so we can expand
Yes.
about other aspects that we could talk about. So I want to keep all this, little bits and bobs for the next conversation,
Oh,
hopefully.
absolutely, Gosh. It will be a pleasure to keep continuing this conversation. It's such a lovely way, really, to bring to the attention of us and to other people things that are so full of meaning, so full of meaning, and full of beauty, as I said before.
And full of beauty, yes, and full of beauty, curiosity, and compassion. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Annalisa. It's been real pleasure. Thank you so much for this
Thank you,
conversation
Gaza, for
and
the
for being here.
opportunity. It's been a joy being here with you, and yeah, to the next.
To the next one.